The most common method to import posts into WordPress is to use the WordPress Importer plugin. This plugin is primarily intended for site migrations and backups, and it allows you to import XML files generated by the built-in WordPress exporter or by compatible plugins and command line tools. To demonstrate the process, we'll start by exporting a few posts. From the export menu, you can choose what content to export. You can export all content or limit the export to specific items, such as posts from a particular post type. Once the XML file has been downloaded, go to the import menu and run it. You can now upload the XML file containing your posts and start the import process. During the import, you'll be asked to assign an author to the imported posts. In this example, the posts are assigned to the admin user. Next, you can choose whether to download and import file attachments. This option determines whether media linked in the post, such as images, should also be downloaded. Another option allows you to update internal links. When enabled, URLs pointing to the original site are automatically updated to match the URL of the current site. This is particularly useful when importing content from a staging or development environment into production. After submitting the form, the import confirmation page appears. This page shows the status of the import and reports any issues, such as duplicate content or items that couldn't be imported. You can now visit the dashboard and review the imported post to make sure everything was imported correctly. The second method covered in this tutorial uses WP All Import, one of the most popular import plugins for WordPress. It's important to clarify that this plugin is not designed to work directly with WordPress export files. While it can technically load these files as generic XML, doing so requires manual mapping and is not its intended use. Instead, this plugin excels at importing content from custom data sources. A typical use case is importing product data from an external system into WordPress, such as for an e-commerce website. In this example, I use a CSV file generated with Google Sheets that contains a list of products. In the plugin main menu, click New Import, select the CSV file, and then click Setup Import. At this stage, you need to map the data from the file to the WordPress fields. This is done by dragging the data shown on the right side of the screen into the appropriate fields on the left. In this example, I mapped the post title and post content. Once you are done, click Continue. In the next step, I keep the default option to create one post for each record in the file, then continue and confirm to run the import. When the import finishes, visit the Post section. You'll see the products added by the import process. Note that in a real-world scenario, this content would usually be imported into a dedicated product, custom post type, along with additional metadata. To keep things simple, in this example, the products are imported as standard posts. Now let's move on to the third method for importing content using a Markdown plugin. This method is ideal for creating documentation from Markdown files stored in a project repository, such as the readme files used on GitHub. But it can also be used for regular blog posts if authors prefer writing in Markdown instead of using the WordPress editor. To begin, activate the plugin called Ultimate Markdown. This plugin adds tools that allow WordPress to import and manage Markdown content. To demonstrate how it works, I publish a documentation page stored in a local software project using the plugin's Import Markdown feature. The file has now been imported into WordPress and converted to blocks correctly.